Hey, Saiko! Do you want to experience a waking nightmare of psychological abuse stylized like a 1920s cartoon in the vein of Steamboat Willie? No? Welp, you're gonna, because we're reviewing Bad Cheese. In Bad Cheese, you play as a little mouse stuck at home over a weekend alone with his dad, who's a bit dysfunctional. Well, a bit dysfunctional is an understatement. It seems the father is straight up abusive or at minimum, a neglectful drunk. With that being said, your goal as the tiny child of this pathetic excuse of a patriarch is simple. Keep daddy happy. To keep him happy, you must perform simple tasks like cleaning up the kitchen or tidying up his shoes. Guiding you on these quests are notes left for you by your momsy.
Momsy!
It seems that neither parent is really fit to raise a child. While the dad appears to be a tyrant ruling by fear, the mom, at the very least, acts as his enabler, as each note she writes carries a joyful energy that clearly does not match the environment.
Sunny son, we've left already. I didn't want to wake you up. Please clean your daddy's shoes. I left some helpful notes. Hugs a kiss, Momsy.
Bad Cheese explores the dark and ever-suffocating atmosphere of living in an abusive environment where small mistakes or missteps can lead to severe punishments. But don't worry, things never get too intense. However, the themes are there, so be warned. This is a dark game. The game is played through the eyes of a little mouse via first-person perspective. When he's not holding something, his arms are always stretched out in front of him. Not to punch or attack in any way, but I think to symbolize his defenseless state. Perhaps they're always out because he's in a constant state of panic, or because he's always running from something. Maybe his father. Or perhaps they're always out because he's constantly reaching for help, or maybe for the comfort of some protector's hand. A protector that does not exist, at least not in this game. I would classify Bad Cheese as an exploration puzzle game, with a larger focus on exploration than on puzzles. Every so often, in order to complete a task from Momsy, you're given an item like a fly swatter to squash spiders or a dirt zapper to zap dirt. There's even a section where you play a Pong-style retro game for the in-universe console called the Arita 2600. Each of these segments play more like mini-games stitched together than a fully robust gameplay experience. I think it's clear the focus of the game is on its ambiance in the context of trauma and abuse, and less on gameplay or the gameplay loop. I do appreciate that there are a lot of different play mechanics to experience throughout the game, but none of them feel very polished or particularly fun in and of themselves. Their enjoyment is fully dependent on the atmosphere and visual presentation of the game. The graphics are where Bad Cheese shines the most. Not because they're revolutionary or high-end, but because, in my opinion, the entire game has a strong and consistent visual language. The black and white aesthetic coupled with the 1920s styled 2D art rendered against a textured 3D world really works for me. The drawings are creepy and off-putting, but in a good way, like some of the gross out gags of Ren and Stimpy. And the lighting adds to the sense of foreboding and claustrophobia by simulating a tunnel vision of sorts throughout the majority of the game. Finally, some of the monster designs fall within an uncanny valley of Disney-style characters. They look like monstrous cousins of the characters many of us grew up loving, and that was probably the point. Bad Cheese is an indie game, which I respect. And from what I can tell, the art was done by one person named Simon Wukashik. So it's really cool to see someone's personal creation come to life. However, despite its interactive elements and minigames, I would describe Bad Cheese more as an art experience than a full-on video game. But as experiences go, it's not a bad one. It's atmospheric, it's creepy, and it doesn't overstay its welcome. You can play through the entire game in just a few hours. There are little collectibles hidden throughout the world that could entice some of you to play over and over to find them all, but I'm not sure that's much of a draw for many. Therefore, I'm giving Bad Cheese a 3 out of 5. While the gameplay is simple and doesn't break any new grounds, its variety of minigame mechanics and especially its strong visual style keep it from being boring. And it doesn't last any longer than it should. Once it runs out of new ideas to explore, it ends. I enjoyed my time with Bad Cheese, but it's definitely not a game for everyone. Before I move on to my final thoughts, I'd like to address the Steamboat Willie in the room. For those of you who may not know, a few variants of Disney's classic characters have entered the public domain. That means their likeness and even their name in certain circumstances can be used in creative works outside of Disney. This spawned the Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey series of horror films, and even a more recent Bambi horror film titled Bambi the Reckoning. Now on the surface, these properties seem like nothing more than cheap cash grabs that are banking on the popularity of the classic brands they're leveraging more than trying to make truly great original art. And maybe that's exactly what they're doing. I haven't seen any of these movies, but I'm not holding my breath for anything on the level of an Eli Roth film, let alone Wes Craven or John Carpenter. Now, does that mean that Bad Cheese, which clearly takes its inspiration from Steamboat Willie, shouldn't be taken seriously or can't be considered real art? No, I don't think so. I think the developer's message is unique and worthy of being told. And one could even argue that using Disney-inspired characters to frame trauma just adds the intentional discomfort the game is meant to invoke. After all, our home and our parents are supposed to be safe spaces, and Disney characters are supposed to be fun and friendly. So flipping it all on its head mimics the disorienting feeling a child might have when the message of home sweet home doesn't ring true to them. Also, if I'm to be honest, if Bad Cheese didn't style itself off of Steamboat Willie, would it have gotten enough attention to appear on my radar? And even if it did, I'm not sure I would have been as interested to play a trauma-based horror game just for the heck of it. I was definitely more interested because of the Steamboat Willie themed art. And if you're an indie dev fighting to be noticed in a world where the average attention span can be measured in seconds, then I do not fault them nor anyone for doing what they can to help make their creations stand out. The developer for Bad Cheese dedicated its creation to all abuse survivors, and the game definitely feels like a personal message from the dev to the players. Perhaps he even managed to work out some of his own personal trauma by creating it, and if playing Bad Cheese helps anyone process their own past or current circumstances, I'm all for it. But as a straight up video game, it definitely isn't for everyone. If you're looking for an indie horror game to give you the willies, you're probably better off looking somewhere else. Maybe give Lone Survivor a try. And if you're looking for a puzzle game to tickle your brain, I'd say try Braid or even Steven's Sausage Roll. Bad Cheese is for a very particular audience looking for a very particular experience. If you're up for a psychological horror trauma simulator wrapped in a creepy 1920s art style inspired by Disney's classic cartoon, then Bad Cheese might be the game for you. However, if you want a game that's more a video game and less of an art experience, then this cheese might be too stinky.